Sabine's family, or is that?
Yeah, so that's that whole arc.
So we see Tristan.
Yeah, Tristan and Ezra, the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Tristan ripped Ezra open. That is my interpretation, and really good for him.
And Ezra won.
I bet he told him he did.
Welcome to STAR GAYZ, where we're not just force sensitive, we're fierce sensitive.
Sure. It seemed... Why was that so solemn?
In my head, I was thinking Delilah.
Wow.
That's where I was going with that. I can redo it if you want.
No.
Okay.
No, let's run with it.
All right.
It's just very hello. Like we were going to drop some news. Wow.
Thanks for listening.
That being said, I have something to tell you. I'm just kidding. What's new? What's going on?
Well, I'm here.
Yeah, we're in the same locale. That's new for us.
Locale and SoCal.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hot as balls here.
It is hot. It is especially hot in here. I'm gonna turn on the thing.
I think it was like 90 something outside. It was 81 when we went out the first thing this morning, but
yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Gross. Indeed.
I think it's like mid 60s back home.
Yeah, but you came down for Hellmouth Con, so
yeah,
fans out there. We got to go to Sunnydale High. We got to recreate some stuff.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, we got to see.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we got to see a bunch of people that we didn't want to wait in lines for at this juncture.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that every time we go to a con or something. It's partly because I feel like I'd be a babbling idiot if I met someone that I thought was really, really cool, because that's what's happened in the past.
Oh.
Like when I met Darth Vader. Oh, it was so scary.
Mm-hmm.
But then also I'm just like, I don't know, I don't want to pay them for a picture. I'm kind of cheap that way, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I waited for Emma.
Yeah, you waited a long time for Emma.
I did. She was a late addition. She's very popular. So her line was really big. James Marsters' line was really big. Juliet's was probably a close third. And then everybody else had like a smattering, which was okay. I waited for Emma, and it was warm in there. I wanted to do more of the
really
school.
Yeah. Armin's was really big. Snyder's.
Yeah, as it should.
They had to keep cutting his line off and saying, come back when it's not so much of a line.
As they should. Some vendors were there. My friend said he was going to be a vendor there. I did not see him. Maybe he's today only. We did not go back. But yeah, we got a lot done. We had a good time.
We almost got tattoos.
Yeah, we almost did. We were this close. Yeah.
But now we have some time to think of some conceptual things.
Yeah, it'll come together. Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of it though.
We could do a video next time I come down for the tattoo. For the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, so we're here today to talk about Rebels.
Again.
Sort of. We may have done this already, and it did not work out. So we are redoing, and at this point we did kind of skip over it because we did do Rogue One, but that seemed to be really appropriate to do after Andor Season 2. We had initially made Rebels our premiere, I think was what we were going to do, and then that slowly became...
when did we do Acolyte?
After that.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then it slowly became Acolyte, and Celebration was kind of our 2-part opener. So... Rebels is now like a lost episode that we're redoing at this point in time. So
it'll come out in the special edition DVD set. later down the line.
No, it won't. But we did want to redo it and cover it, and but it has been some time. I've grazed back through it since we watched it, but some details make me a little hazy because now it's been some time since our rewatch. But
it's been even longer for me.
When did you first watch Rebels? What are your first memories of it?
I did not like what I saw of it being promoted. The first time I watched through it was with you, I believe.
Noted.
Yeah. The art style was a really hard thing for me. They kind of look like Muppets a little bit. Like it's like their skin. Yeah, the skin. It's like textured in a way that looks like it would be fuzzy if I touched it. So I don't know. It's just weird. The animation style was a choice for me. But story wise, once I actually watched it, it was really, really good. I'm glad I finally did, because there's a lot of like really cool, important pieces that happen in it that if you haven't watched it, you really don't know.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think that's when, like, after watching Clone Wars and then like and realizing how much stuff is in Clone Wars, like watching Rebels just seemed like a worthwhile endeavor to do, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't remember much about it being promoted. All of a sudden, it was just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing a lot of merch for it in Target. Things like that where it just kind of came out of nowhere, like amidst the merger. And
it's kind of how like I feel about Young Jedi now.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like when it came out, I was like, oh, this is like clearly a kid show. Like this probably isn't something
Yeah,
I'm into.
yeah. And they had already announced The Force Awakens, and we'd gotten like that little teaser they gave us. So this seemed like really low priority to me. But then I had really gotten into the Clone Wars and binged it, so I was like, I'll give this a chance. And I really pushed through that first season because, whoa. But I was glad I did, because then when we hit the finale, they did that Ahsoka reveal. Spoiler. And then I was like, okay, cool. I can mess with this show. The art is different. It is very different if you are watching the Clone Wars. But I liked it because it reminded me a lot of the concept art, which is kind of what it's based on, is that Ralph McQuarrie concept art. But it also, I felt, makes it easier to transition into the original trilogy, because a lot of the sabers in the original trilogy look very similar, and
that's true.
Things like that. So I find that it kind of eases you back into that style. So I appreciate it for that. So and then once I was on board, I rode that train until that final episode aired, and man, that was sad. But yeah, so that's my kind of Rebels journey, and now I rewatch it very often. So yeah.
So that's Rebels.
So season 1.
It's a rough season. Yeah.
Just kidding. I was like, what if we just did the whole episode? No. Season 1, which the arc I want to highlight is Spark of Rebellion, which is that very first one where we get introduced to our little rebel crew. We get to catch up with Caleb Doom, who now is Kanan Jarrus. Kind of an asshole, if you ask me. Not really into him, but Hera and her rebellion are very fond of him. And they have Sabine for some reason. Big fan of Sabine.
Yeah, huge.
This guy. Yeah.
She grows on me.
Yeah, there you go. And then we meet Ezra Bridger, who's orphaned running around Lothal, a planet that the Empire is slowly increasing their presence on as they use it as a fuel depot and other things. So That's the setup of Rebels. So season 1, though, we find out that little Ezra is force sensitive. Kanan gets him to open the holocron that he keeps around. And then they kind of recruit Ezra to their crew, and Kanan takes him on as his Padawan. And then, because Kanan has now revealed himself to be a Jedi, and now they're actively acting as Jedi with this rebel cell, they dispatch the Grand Inquisitor to deal with them, and that's kind of the arc of the whole season. And meanwhile, like, we get teases that Hera is taking orders from a Fulcrum agent for a larger rebel cell, and we get the reveal at the end that was in fact Ahsoka, who created the Fulcrum, name after starting to work with Bail Organa. And we get a final battle with Kanan, Ezra, and the Grand Inquisitor, which was done as kind of an homage to the Phantom Menace. It's kind of a cool fight to watch, and does not go well for the Grand Inquisitor.
Not so grand.
Yeah, but then our little ghost crew joins the larger rebel cell.
And at the time of this airing, this was the first view of the Grand Inquisitor, right?
Yes, and at the time there weren't more than one Inquisitors. Like, we hadn't really gotten there yet, and I don't think they made that decision until after this season, because he's really just referred to as the Inquisitor.
Yeah,
the entire time.
He's a cool character.
He is cool. I like what they do with him overall, which is really cool. Not only in this show, but just in his lore. I think it's really cool. He was a temple guard and all that good stuff. So his story is actually pretty cool. And then he comes back in this show in a way that I think is pretty cool, which we'll get to. Season 2 begins with the siege of Lothal. So, having failed to control this rebel group, and now with the larger cell camping out around Lothal, the Empire sends reinforcements, including Tarkin and Vader. Ooh.
Big guns.
Yeah, big guns. Blam blam.
Pew pew.
I'm sorry, texting my husband mid show. Imagine if I was like a reporter and
a panel runner. Like,
yeah.
Hold on, before you give that answer.
Anyways, yeah. So big guns are there, but they have Ahsoka too, who's now like hanging around like. So Ahsoka's hanging around like a crazy aunt. Okay.
Yes, Ahsoka.
Yeah. And she's hanging around, helping out, and then when Vader attacks, thinks she gets a strong hint of who she's dealing with. She don't like it. Vader then, for the most part, dispatches 2 other Inquisitors because James Earl Jones was expensive, and so off he went. And so then we get a Sarah Michelle Gellar Inquisitor.
Yes,
actually
worth it.
Funny given this weekend, and the other one.
Yeah, him.
He's there, but so they're kind of popping it in and out. Ahsoka is popping in and out, doing her own thing, and we kind of ebb and flow with that storyline throughout season 2. Otherwise, it's a lot of about the team adjusting to their new roles in the rebellion. Things like that.
Having to work within certain parameters now.
Yes. And looking for a base and all of those things, especially as things get more tense on Lothal, because the Empire really starts to squeeze Lothal. So that's the overall storyline of that. What culminates, though, we get a lot of Jedi Temple stuff in this season, which is cool, and that's why I like that the Grand Inquisitor pops back up in, because he's the one that knights Kanan as a Jedi, which is really interesting. He puts Kanan through a final trial in the temple, and then knights him, and then yeah, super cute.
It's cool.
And then Yoda chats it up a little bit with Ezra and what looks like the world between worlds a little bit. I think that's
So it's not a the Inquisitor one is kind of like a memory of him, but the Yoda vision is actually Yoda because Yoda's still alive, right?
well, that is kind of up to interpretation because the other Inquisitors also see the Grand Inquisitor when they get surrounded by the other guards at the end.
So is it like his light side preserved?
Yeah, I guess like his will acting through the temple.
Right. Because even though like him himself is kind of far gone.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those weird mystical things. Yeah, so Yoda chats it up with Ezra, and then Ahsoka, I think it's confirmation here, like, girl, like, accept it. You know? Like, fuck. And then we kind of move on from there. But Yoda tells them to find Malachor, which gives us, I think, one of my favorite kind of lore arcs in Rebels. Because they go to Malachor to get more knowledge about the Sith, because they're like, we've got to stop. You know, there's too many Inquisitors, too many Emperors.
Well, just the one.
Too many Uz. Yeah, it's one too many. That's what so they go there, and then we get that cool piece where they see like the remains of all the Jedi and Sith who battled in front of the temple before, which was really cool. And Maul shows up, which is cool. Our little buddy Maul, which was his first appearance in this section of the timeline, which is I remember that being like mind-blowing.
This might be my favorite timeline of Maul, because he seems so much more like calculated and cunning and a little sassy.
Calculated and cunty. Yeah.
Serving Henny.
Yeah, serving absolute Shadow Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, no, so Ezra gets himself into trouble, as he does at this point in time still. And he hangs out with Maul, and then they all converge on the temple in this final battle for control of the temple.
And Maul's like dead set on adopting Ezra.
Yeah, like, it's a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Ahsoka are reunited, which is cute. They have some fun little quips.
It's very quippy.
Maul blinds Kanan. That's kind of a big deal. But Kanan...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but Kanan gets the upper hand and bests Maul in battle. And Vader shows up, because Vader's like, it seems like my little birdies told me that they found this temple and all y'all are here, so thought I would be here too.
Thought I would invite myself.
Yeah. So Vader shows up, and then Ahsoka and him engage in battle, which was very fun to see.
It's really epic.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed their stuff a lot. And then she has a similar encounter with him that Obi-Wan does, where she gets to slice open part of his helmet and talk to Anakin, or at least kind of like what's left. But she slashes open the other side.
Oh, I never noticed that.
And the only person to fully get the mask off is Luke, at Vader's request.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I never put that together. That's really cool.
The only one to unmask him fully is his son. That's the only person who really gets to Anakin. The other two just come close.
Which is weird, because does he really know his son? Like, I would argue the other two had much better relationships with him, like knowing who he is. Like,
yeah,
it's a little weird.
Cringe.
Yeah, a little. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. So anyways, things don't go well at the temple overall. Ahsoka and Vader are left there, and kind of where we leave things.
Mm-hmm.
But the Inquisitors are pretty much done, though, so that's nice. Season 3, we get a lot of Maul stuff in Season 3. We see Ezra's leveled up in his skill. He's got his new haircut. He's got a new saber after Vader slashed his other one. And
because he had the gun one, right, where it was like ballistic.
Yeah, he got one. I'm glad to see him go.
That was a design choice.
We see now that they've kind of like leveled up even in terms of the rebellion, so we see them kind of all having a role now, which is cool. Kanan's embraced it more and more because he's realizing how important it is what they're doing, and he learns from the Bendu.
Oh yeah,
at Chopper Base, and who really helps him accept, being blind and what this new phase of his life is going to look like. But Ezra is being pulled at by Maul because Maul wants the Sith holocron because Ezra kept it, and he knows Kanan will have a Jedi holocron because Ezra had told him that at the temple. Okay, idiot.
And he needs Ezra to open it, right?
Yes. And he wants to join the hologrons together to get knowledge, to have like exactly what he's wanting to know answered, which is like, I guess, something that can happen when you do that. The Bendu gives a warning, and if that's to happen, what that will look like, so shit like that. So they end up doing it, but they're interrupted. But what they don't know, and I love this, is that they're looking for the same thing. Because Ezra was like, maybe we should do it because I want to know how to get rid of these motherfuckers. And Maul just wants to find Kenobi, his boyfriend. His
long lost ex.
Which is kind of the same thing. So they get kind of pieces of each other's answer, which really together make one answer that's the same for both. And they go their separate ways. Ezra's also kind of an asshole, so he gets demoted because he's made a lot of mistakes, because he's angry about how things went at the temple. Ezra's really going through it right now. I don't know what the hormones are doing to him right now, but
the Jedi hormones.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And then we deal a lot with Thrawn. So I love that. And his TIE Defender bullshit, and all that stuff is just really cool to get into in this season of Rebels.
Is this the season we start getting into the Mandalore stuff or no?
Yes. So because at one point Maul takes Ezra to Dathomir because he wants to finish getting his message or whatever, so he lures Ezra to Dathomir, and fucking lost my train of thought. So they all go. Kanan and Sabine, follow him over there, or whatever, and they get possessed by Night Sisters. This whole thing, but Maul's lair is there, so Sabine finds the dark saber because he still has it, and so she takes it, and then there's that whole arc where Kanan. This is the first entry into Jedi Sabine, which I love it. Kanan trains Sabine how to use the saber, and she does for a time, but she really doesn't want the Mandalorian responsibility that comes with it.
I don't want a saber. I don't want this saber.
Yeah, which I kind of love that though. And then we do see her wielding Ezra's saber when she fights Gar Saxon on the ice for the saber, and she uses Ezra's, and I'm like, oh, that's funny because of what we know later.
Is this the season we meet Sabine's family, or is that?
Yeah, so that's that whole arc.
So we see Tristan here.
Yeah, Tristan and Ezra, their relationship. Yeah, man, Tristan ripped Ezra open. That is my interpretation, and really good for him.
And Ezra wanted it.
And I bet he told him he did.
Watching those episodes through that lens, it's so hilarious.
Yeah, so we get a lot of Sabine's family. So this is when they kind of turn and decide to stand up to the Empire themselves in a Mandalorian type of way. And Sabine decides to stay and help them, which is cute.
Which means she's gone for a while.
Yeah.
Love that.
And yeah, so we kind of start to divide our team a bit, because then Sabine kind of gets wrapped up with Mandalore. Ezra's really focused on Maul, and Maul lures him once more to Tatooine, where we see Obi-Wan in his first appearance now in the timeline as Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, which is cool. So he's already digivolved into him. And his mega form. Yeah. And then Obi-Wan kills Maul. I really wish the story didn't end there for Maul. I like how it ended. I wish it was live action. But
Yeah, that was a really cool scene, though.
yeah.
I could rewatch that on YouTube over and over again. So
Yeah. So we kind of wrap that up, and then Hera starts to become kind of like more of an adversary for Thrawn. He takes her Calicori, which is like super mean, and then he finds their base, and then kablam, you know. But they at least find out in time, I think, to start trying to figure something out, and that's because of Agent Callus, who turned into a Fulcrum agent, which was really cool.
Zeb's boyfriend.
Yeah, Zeb's boyfriend. A lot of boyfriends here.
Mm-hmm. Rebels is super gay.
All of them. Yeah. Yeah, and that's for the most part season 3. They get bombed like to almost oblivion. But the Bendu helps a little bit, and you know, for the most part and Ezra gets the Mandalorians to come help, and they barely make it, which brings us to season 4, where things get weird. So what we see here is oh, a couple things we skipped. See, that's why I should have better notes. But see, season 2 we got Leia, so Leia popped in.
Did we?
Yeah. So okay.
So when does that happen?
Yeah. So Leia went to Lothal to help deliver.
That's
ships.
right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there was this whole plan where she had to have them steal them from her and all that good stuff. And it was right after Ezra found out his parents were dead, and she was like, "Oh, let me tell you about how I got here." And yeah. So they have like that cute little thing, and then
and that episode features the Hammerhead Corvettes, which is what they use in Rogue One, to break the big shield.
Absolutely, I love that. And then season 3 is when we got Mon Mothma, which links up with Andor, so that's where those two shows meet. And so season 4. We eventually moved to Yavin, which Zeb has, for the most part, already set up shop at. So, again, everybody's still kind of divided. Sabine was doing things again with the Mandalorians. Everybody's doing their own thing, again, for the most part, in season 4. But everybody slowly kind of gathers on Yavin. And what really brings them back together is Lothal, I think. So things are real bad on Lothal, and the whole point was that Ezra had sworn he would return and fix things there, and they never did, and Mon Mothma refuses to send help.
Right.
So
it's kind of a bit of a conflict there.
So they decide to go themselves, for better or for worse. And
it seems like now, having watched Andor, that like all the individual rebel cells have a hard time or are really reluctant to conform to the Rebel Alliance like big picture stuff.
Yeah, it's hard. So I liked where we ended up, and Thrawn has all but taken over Lothal for the most part. So they really set up shop there, and then things get really weird because the Loth Wolves come out, and they keep kind of like pushing them toward like a bigger purpose there on Lothal. And that's like a running theme throughout the season. And then Kanan has a really interesting connection with the wolves too, that even he for a while can't explain. And it all kind of culminates when Hera gets captured by Thrawn's assassin. What's his name? Rook? Something like that.
That weird looking dude.
Yeah.
He's like purple or whatever.
Hera gets captured. Kanan gets a haircut. Okay. He's like, let's do it. Let's get a little bit Caleb up in here. Okay. Let's call me Zoom, baby. All right.
Dr. Doom.
Yeah. He gets Hera. They are trying to escape the fuel depot, and then Governor Price is like on one, so she orders them to bomb the hell out of it. Yep, and she orders them to Jane. She orders them all to bomb the fuel things, and then Kanan dies, saving
Crispy.
Everybody else. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how that goes. And then the wolves inform Ezra. Seems like a ridiculous thing to say. That
via email.
that the Jedi Temple is in danger. So Ezra and Sabine and Hera go for Kanan to go liberate the temple, I guess, or whatever they intend to do there. But in the process, Ezra discovers the world between worlds, which I loved. It was so weird and so Star Wars, and that's fantastic. So he ends up there. Morai seems to guide him over to this portal that he could just pull up Ahsoka right out of. And the wolf had told him to restore the past, which we find out was Kanan's will acting through the wolf. So he was always meant to pull Ahsoka out for whatever reason. So they need him to do that. And that's because Dave Filoni wanted it that way. So he plucks her out so Vader doesn't kill her. And then they get a brief skirmish with the Emperor, who wants access to the world between worlds as well for his the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So they run, they jump through the portals. And Ezra seals the gate. The temple collapses itself completely to protect itself from further tampering from the Empire, which, as we know in other Star Wars canon materials, the temples were prone to doing. So that was cool to see. And then we let go of Kanan. And then the final arc begins because they've had enough, baby. Ezra's ready to assemble a team and take back this planet. He's on one for sure. And he recruits everybody, baby, from the Loth Cats to the fucking wolves to the fucking...
He put out a bulletin.
Yeah, people he's had relations with, I'm sure, like Tristan, right? And
Tristan.
Everybody's kind of down. Thrawn is pissed. He lost his fuel depot. His defender thing is probably not working out because they're starting to get the Death Star to work, so they don't need his little bullshit ships no more. And he's mad because he really wants to be that second in command to the Emperor. He's trying to climb his way up the ladder. So then he can then disconnect the ladder. You know what I mean?
He's such a cool Star Wars villain.
I love Thrawn.
For the not obvious reasons. It's he's so calculating.
Yeah.
And
I love Thrawn.
And it's cool because it's kind of, I feel like they reserve that calculated evilness for Sith, and he's not even a Sith. It's just his mind and who he is really cool.
He's just a fucking genius. Love him. I'd do it.
Down with the blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd do it. Anyway, so then Ezra puts together a team.
I don't know why, but you know, like when you have like a blue icy and your tongue turns blue. Oh, yes.
Really though. Anywho, they put together a team, and they have a final battle for control of Lothal. Yeah. And you know who turns the tide? The freaking Purrgil. Space whales, baby. And Ezra's made friends with them. So he sends his little friends to go out and get the Purrgil. And they come and they take Thrawn and Ezra and everybody on the Chimera up out of there to where we now know is Peridia, but we didn't at the time. And we get a little epilogue because Ezra told Sabine that he was counting on her, and so she feels like she has promised him something. She doesn't know what that is. She ain't that smart. She's like, I don't know.
No, she really regresses here.
Yeah.
Because then when we get her in Ahsoka, it was a different bitch.
Yeah. But we get an epilogue after Endor of her on Lothal still living in his old house, which seems interesting. But then she leaves to find Ezra with Ahsoka. And now we know what that looks like because we saw Ahsoka. And we find out that in between, she trained to be a Jedi with his saber. Love it.
And failed.
Okay, but like she figures it out.
Eventually, I guess.
Yeah. So that's Rebels. Yay. So what are your favorite parts of Rebels?
Some we covered, like the World Between Worlds stuff. Like all that mystical part of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. I love it.
I want to say that's most of like the Loth Wolves. That's also part of that like mystical.
Yeah.
But I do love all the parts with Thrawn. Like even before
Thrawn
we're
is a
at
highlight.
the end, just
Thrawn is a
his
highlight
like
for sure.
as he explains like the significance of like the artwork to like the people around him who just don't fucking get it. It really like I think it makes him a really unique Star Wars villain, and so that's really interesting to watch.
That's fair.
And then we talked about the Grand Inquisitor. I think he's a really fascinating character too.
Yeah, I wish we got more of him. Really, in other stuff too.
What about you? Favorite parts?
The Ahsoka stuff is really good for me. I loved her thing with Vader. I would love to see that in live action also. So I'm hoping for some flashbacks. Okay. But I do love the World Between Worlds. The stuff where it got really weird. And kind of harkens back to the original trilogy because the original trilogy is really kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, then anything that
grounded.
features Palpatine, like great content.
And with Ian McDiarmid doing it, I loved. And that final piece we got of him. Yeah, I think all that stuff, for the most part, it was cool watching them kind of expand up into the larger rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time we really saw like a ground level story going up into the larger rebellion, and then we got Andor, which is kind of similar. But I love that because for the most part we've only ever seen Bail's kind of strand of the rebellion via Rebels, and in Andor we kind of saw Mons, which was not quite as ironed out as Bail's was apparently. So that was cool to see, to kind of how the different sections of the rebellion kind of unite, and you have people like Saw, who we also see in Rebels a lot here, who really can't vibe with anybody. So I loved all that stuff. That stuff was fascinating.
You know what I really did like was the Geonosian parts.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting into like the energy program and like what they did on Geonosis.
Yeah,
like,
and it crosses kind of back over the Andor.
Because it was also kind of read as like a zombie a little bit because of like the Geonosians. Like
and everything.
Those are really cool, like spooky arcs that I really liked.
I loved all that stuff too, and a lot of that is the Saw stuff too, which is cool. Anything that you would change? Anything you didn't like?
I would. If I had the option, it's fine as it is, but if I had the option to, I would change the animation style. I think it would make a really cool, gritty, and I've said this about a lot of things like on the show. I think any Star Wars would make a really cool, like gritty anime. which is made evident in the visions, because like the Ronin part is, or arc is like one of the most popular ones. So I think this would make a really cool, kind of more adult leaning anime-ish type story.
Okay.
Because I'm sure, like with Andor, like it's a much more serious, like sullen vibe, and I think Rebels would also fit that very, very well.
Yeah.
Same time period and everything. So,
Okay,
and they have to make some choices.
That makes sense.
Yep.
For the most part, just things that I would like to see in live action more than anything. I wish we had kind of left Maul a little more open ended so we could finish him out in live action in some way down the road. And that one's interesting because he initially was going to fight Vader, and Vader was going to kill him in Rebels. And then they opted to make it an Obi-Wan story and keep Maul around a bit longer.
What would that look like? That would be cool.
It was going to be on Malachor. And they decided to not do it and keep him around. So they could
but just to see that interaction would have been cool, though.
Yeah, and we don't see them interact at all. Like. It sounds like they've interacted before, based on Maul's fear to engage with him.
Maybe we'll get some of that in the Maul series coming out.
I think we might. I would not be surprised if
that'd be really neat.
Explored some of that. Yeah, just like stuff like that. But overall, I like Rebels for what it is, and kind of what we did with it.
Yeah, I'm glad that I eventually did sit down and watch it, we watched it because it was really cool.
Yeah. And we followed up with some of these characters now in other media, which is really cool. So we've gotten Hera and everybody in live action.
We got a really nice butch Hera.
Yeah, she's gone through some changes.
Get in the trailer.
Yeah, get in the trailer. Is that everybody should be reuniting on Ahsoka season 2 all in one place, which sounds really cool. Well, except for Sabine, I don't know how they're gonna do that because she's in another galaxy. But
I'm sure they'll find a way back.
Yeah, maybe. I wonder if maybe season 2 ends with them getting back. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Because we are supposed to have a big war with Thrawn and everybody in our galaxy, so I would assume they'd want Ahsoka and Sabine to be a part of that at some point. So we'll see. But it's been cool watching everybody kind of make the jump too, also because it started with just the animated series, and so it's been cool to see as somebody who kind of was there when it aired, I guess.
An OG, if you will.
An OG. Oh, and I've met Hera.
Oh yeah, you did.
That's right. So that was cool. I made sure to include a card.
I love this is a whole slide.
Yeah. But yeah, just a reminder of my era, and I loved it. I loved her, and she's great. And
feature photo here.
Yeah, it's and
stupid.
It was cool to having seen it when it started airing, and be here now where now I'm her best friend is quite the journey
and quite the stretch.
Wow. Well, I am pretty limber. We already did this for the most part as we talked. So Sabine and Ahsoka, I know you're a huge fan of this.
I'm not a fan of that story or that like possibility. I am not a fan of like just the way that Sabine is portrayed. I think sometimes she comes off really fucking stupid.
That's fair.
And annoying. But with the character herself, I don't think I really have an issue. And I really don't have an issue with like her and Ahsoka pairing. I really liked that in Ahsoka. I wish we maybe got some more flashbacks of like what that disconnect looked like.
Yeah.
But no, I don't hate it. I don't like the way that her character's been handled and portrayed sometimes.
Okay, that's fair. It is jarring to me because they have no interaction in Rebels.
Right, when you made that point during
all.
Rebels, like
at all. So it is really random. It is cool to see them interact because we hadn't seen them interact. And to know that they're so close.
Yeah,
it's
it's like you said, it's jarring. We go from no interaction to like, wow, you have a whole relationship.
Yeah, like they're
now.
closer than everybody else,
Mhm.
which is weird. So there was that, but it was cool to see, them find Ezra later and team up with him, and now what that dynamic is. So that's cool. It's fun to play with, and getting to see her swing a saber, in Rebels and be so good with it. It was cool to see her kind of do that in live action, and realize how heavily we were gonna lean into that, but that's fine. And I like what that means for kind of the Force as a whole, and that's all stuff that we covered in Ahsoka. But it is this is the first time we see them in the same room together, but they just don't interact. They never say anything to each other, so I just think it's interesting. So I think for me, Thrawn and Maul are kind of big highlights for me, as kind of like the big bads for the most part of the show. And I loved all their stuff, so I think for me that's big stuff going on there. Anything else on any big bads for you?
Well, I love Palpatine so much. So anytime I see him, he's always the big bad. So like I'm always like in relation to like, what's Palpatine doing right now?
Yeah, he's always lurking in the background.
Yeah, I always appreciate that. I didn't really see Maul as a big bad per se, because it was kind of his own thing. So I mean, he was more just like trying to advance like his goal.
Yeah.
So it didn't contribute to the overall bad of the Empire.
That makes sense.
But Thrawn is a really, really cool villain, and I think again the Inquisitor is a really, really cool villain.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but that's Rebels for the most part.
What is the gayest part of Rebels?
Oh, we haven't been
I
doing
know.
that.
Oh.
Now we have to redo the whole season.
Series, yeah.
No. The gayest. Oh, Ezra and Tristan.
Damn it! That's what I was gonna say. Now I have to find something else gay.
Yeah.
Where else can I find queerness in Rebels? Oh my god. Zeb and what's his name?
Callus.
That's a more like, I don't know, adult gay relationship.
Yeah. Or Zalus, as I call it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Or
Caleb. Yep.
Caleb.
Yeah, a lot of gay in Star Wars. Hence the show.
Yeah, here we go.
Let it right back in.
Anyway, that was it. Thank you, Fear Sensitives, for listening and or watching.
If you're listening to us on a podcast platform, we'd love it if you rate us and subscribe to us, and also leave a review.
If you're watching us on YouTube, and if you are, we'd love that for you. Hit the subscribe button to subscribe to the Planet Grady YouTube channel so you don't miss out on a single visual masterpiece we put out.
Oh, it's my turn now. Follow us on Instagram at STAR GAYZ Official, and follow us individually if you want to. Follow me at Zach_Baloney on Instagram.
And follow me on Instagram at Planet_Grady, and follow us on Blue Sky too.
Yeah.
We will be right here next week, so until then, watch Rebels and love it. Love everything about it. And especially if you've never seen it, I think it's important to do.
Give it a try.
And of course, as always, do something for yourself, and may the fierce be with you.
Yeah, it's a happy Pride Month.
Yeah. Gay or
Yeah.
not my America.